Hey everyone, Kirk here, and welcome back to the Geek Effect. In today's video, I'll be taking a look at the Marvel Legends series, Wenwu from Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. A couple of weeks ago, I took a look at Shang-Chi from the same figure line, and it was a very decent figure. It had some nice detail to it, along with some good posability, and I was even able to get a couple of good shots of it as well. Now, in that review video for Shang-Chi, I mentioned that I picked him up before seeing the movie, and so after seeing the movie and enjoying it, I had to get a couple others from this line of figures, one of them being Wenwu, because not only is he the villain of the story and not only is he Shang-Chi's father, but in my opinion, Tony Leung's performance throughout the movie was very enjoyable, and so I just wanted to have this figure in my collection. Plus, it'll be good to have both father and son side by side, the villain and the hero side by side. Just very important to this collection of mine. So with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at this guy. Starting off with the packaging, you're greeted with the Legend series logo. At the bottom, you'll also find the Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings logo, and then the name Wenwu there as well. The top of the box also has the emblem or sort of design pattern that's on Shang-Chi's outfit, and then you'll find info on what this Build-A-Figure is for this wave, which is Marvel's Mr. Hyde. The side of the box has some character art for Wenwu along with the same emblem or design pattern from Shang-Chi's outfit, and you'll find the same thing on the right side of the box. Moving along to the back of the box, you'll find some info on the character of Wenwu, which states that Shang-Chi's father, Wenwu, is the feared leader of the Ten Rings organization, which has lurked in the shadows of the MCU since the very beginning. You also find the more full image of the character art that's featured on the side of the box, the 5 rings on one arm and then the other 5 on the other arm, and it has a nice stance to it. I think this is something that you could possibly replicate with the figure itself, so we'll definitely find that out later in the review. You'll also find some info, again, for the Build-A-Figure for Marvel's Mr. Hyde. You'll find the corresponding numbers to let you know which part comes with which figure. This one comes with part number 2, which is one of the arms, and then the cane, which you can see from inside the packaging. You see the arm right there, and then the cane for Marvel's Mr. Hyde as well. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get this figure out of the box. So here's Wenwu out of the box, and this is a very solid looking figure in my opinion. I love the detail going on for it, especially with the texturization, the sculpting, especially with the arms and the rings. Like, I think this is probably one of my favorite features of this figure, and even the likeness when it comes to the head sculpting in comparison to Tony Leung looks very close to the actor himself, and so I think that Hasbro definitely nailed it in that department. But if I was to gripe about anything, the only thing I'm having an issue with so far is the outfit. It's not as accurate as I would like it to be if you were to compare it to what he wears in the final act when fighting Shang-Chi. I think that just would have been a better choice of an outfit to go with, but again, things happen with concept art which causes it to be inaccurate at times. Maybe, potentially we could get another figure of Wenwu later down the line where it's more accurate to that suit. Maybe not, we'll have to see what happens, but let's go ahead and get a closer look at this figure, starting with the head. Getting a closer look at the figure, I am happy with how the head sculpt turned out. The paint job on it looks nice, the sculpting on it looks nice, especially with the hair. You can see all the textures and stuff in his hair, which looks very nice. And I'm happy with how it turned out in regards to the likeness of the character. Like I said, the Shang-Chi figure for the MCU version, that handled the likeness very well when it came to Simu Liu. And I think that they handled it very well when it comes to Tony Leung. I'm happy with how that turned out, especially with the paint job for the eyebrows, the eyes, the mouth, and even the sculpting with the nose and everything like that. Like, it looks very similar, and so I'm happy with how that turned out. Another thing I did notice about this figure is that in certain angles and with the help of shadows and everything like that, when this figure is angled upward, he has a sort of calm expression to him. He looks like he has a sort of smile on. He doesn't look as menacing to anyone. But once you angle it down, he looks so menacing, and I love how that looks. Like, you can get some nice photos of this figure due to how that looks, and even if you're having him fight against Shang-Chi and an action sequence and taking photos of that, like, it'll look really, really good. So I'm looking forward to getting that done on my own after reviewing this figure. Moving down to the bottom, you will have some more detail when it comes to the shoulder pad area. You have some details in the the main area of the suit, which looks nice too. All those bumps and the paint job, as I stated before, when I was looking at it from afar, I didn't really notice any paint bleeding into certain areas it shouldn't, like with the black and the blue. And this is something that I've noticed with past Legends figures that I've opened up and had on display and everything like that. Like, paint does tend to bleed into certain areas it shouldn't. And so it does sometimes look a bit messy. And I'm not noticing that with this figure. So that does make me very happy. I think this is probably the first figure that I can say I have not experienced that with, at least from what I can tell. Moving over to the arm, this is, like I said, one of my other favorite features of this figure because of the rings and just how that sculpting looks. I think that they handled that very well, except for one thing, which is the pinless joints not being the option here. I don't know why they decided not to do that. If they had done that, I think that would have eliminated the fact that one of the rings, which is the one closest to the joint, is not seamless. So it has this gap right here, which it isn't noticeable from afar. Like, if you have this at a certain angle, you're not going to be concerned about it. Like, they even managed to hide it with the top part. Like, it's not an issue there, but it's right here that it becomes an issue. And so that is somewhat disappointing, especially when you see that the legs are pinless. And so it makes me wonder, why wouldn't they have gone with pinless joints for the arms? Like, especially if it would have caused these to be seamless and not have this gap in between them. If it was me personally, I think that going with the pinless option just would have been overall better, especially to even also make things more consistent between the legs and the arms. Moving down to the waist area, you'll find some detail there with the sculpting for the belt, which has the 10 rings logo there with the swords in the center. We also have some sculpting right here in the belt strap and everything, so that looks good. And the pattern for this cloth that he has on looks very nice too. I love how that turned out, and the texturization for that with the wrinkles, it all looks good, especially with this front flap thing too. That looks good as well. And the legs also have some nice sculpting there. Nothing to write home about, but it does do the job, especially with the knee pad area and everything like that. And then you also find some more paint work going on with the boots, with that silver lining area going around the top of the boot and then along the back side of it as well. So I think that they handled that well. So the articulation is a bit restricted in certain areas with this figure, which is somewhat disappointing, but at the same time, it's understandable due to his outfit, and it kind of isn't going to be able to move in certain ways that you would like to have it positioned. Now, the head does come with the articulation that it needs, just like how it did with the Shang-Chi figure. So due to how the joint is, you're able to get some nice, articulation there. You can rotate it 360 degrees, of course, and then have it angle in certain ways, which is always good. So his head can go all the way back like that, all the way down like that, and then you can have it angled in certain ways as you please. Now, moving over to the joints in the arms, those are all the way you'd expect with some rotation right there, and same thing in this arm as well. And then you can also have some articulation in the elbow joints as well. So that goes all the way in and then all the way out. One thing I did notice is that the arm does kind of move a bit odd, and I don't know what the reason is. It could just be because of the ring leaving some space there. So it will go all the way back like that, and possibly even like this, where it looks kind of odd how the arm is. I don't know if you can see it. It could just be my eyes just playing tricks on me, but it looks odd sometimes. But the arm does have good articulation, and then the wrist joint, that does have that swivel there. And then, of course, these do pop out for later when we will touch on the accessories, when you want to pop these out to be able to swap out the hands and get different hand poses for this figure. So we'll touch on that later. Moving down to the waist area, you do get a bit of ab crunch, a bit of articulation there. That rotation is 360 degrees, and you can move it back this far and then this far down. So it doesn't have the best articulation in the waist, unfortunately, but it does make sense. The outfit is a bit restricting, which does block him from having that articulation there. Moving down to the legs, you do get some more articulation in each of the legs. You can rotate it 360 degrees, and then you have some more articulation in the knee. Now, this is what I was talking about when I said that the figure is restricting a bit when it comes to his articulation, because due to the cloth piece, you're not able to move this back all the way. Like, you could try, but you are going to end up bending that. So, I mean, fortunately, this is flexible. It's like a sort of rubber sort of a piece, so it won't get damaged. At least I don't think it would, but I would be careful when trying to bend the knees just to make sure you don't damage it too much. Moving this piece right here for the leg, I did find it a bit restricting. I think maybe my joints are just a bit stiff, but you can like kind of get it. It just won't be as far in as other Legends figures like Shang-Chi, who doesn't have the cloth on his waist, where he can freely move the leg as far back as possible and then, have it back to normal extension. And it's the same thing for the other leg as well. You also have that articulation in the ankle joint as well. So you got some swivel there, and then you can angle it up pretty far actually. And then you can also angle it back, which is nice. So those will all be able to get you some nice poses, which is always something to look forward to when having these figures, because you always are going to want to have some sort of action pose going on here to just add that, characteristic to the figure, especially when you're having them side by side with other Legends figures, whether it be from Shang-Chi or other ones in your collection. Moving along to the accessories, you get a total of 2 pairs of hands, 2 of which have the fingers in a claw-like sort of position. Those look pretty cool. And then you also have 2 with the gripping position, and those look nice as well. So you can alternate those obviously between the arms and even with the ones that he already has on him, which are more in a fist-like sort of position. You can always alternate between those and get some different combos going on with your poses. And he also has this weapon of choice, which I don't know what this is called exactly. If you guys know in the comment section below, do let me know, because I would like to know. But I'm not sure what it's called. I do remember that the 10 rings do use this throughout the movie. It's something that you see them carrying, and that's about all I know about it. But I mean, at the same time, does he really need this? Because, you have the rings, and those are pretty powerful throughout the movie. Not something that I think he's going to really need to make use of. As I also stated earlier, this figure is a part of a Build-A-Figure wave, so you do get the 2 accessories that were stated on the back of the box. You have the cane for Marvel's Mr. Hyde, and then you also have Mr. Hyde's arm. This is a pretty nice looking piece. It's got, that articulation going on there. Obviously can't really go into full detail about this because this is just one piece of the figure. It's not completed. Now I did want to demonstrate how you get the weapon to be held in his hand. Of course, you do have to use one of the gripping hands that comes with this figure. I have switched it out with the original hand that was in the arm so that I can demonstrate, but it's not the easiest thing to do in my opinion. It took me some time to figure out what was like the best way to get him to grip it, and I found that if you have the hook area right here, if you have that facing inward and then you slide it in between the thumb and the other 4 fingers, I found that doing it that way will make it easier. You just slide it in and then you twist so that the hook is facing outward, and then it's it's in there, and then you can slide it down, or you can have it a bit up so that you can potentially have it over his neck. It works, but it's it's a bit difficult, like I said, to get it into the gripping hand, in my opinion. Maybe it's just me, but that's just one of the things that I noticed. As I stated before, the articulation of this figure isn't the best, so it does make posing the figure a bit difficult, but I did manage to get certain poses like this one where he's in a striking position, like he's getting ready to attack or to block or something like that. Like, it looks nice, it looks decent, and I'm sure that over time, after playing around with the figure and everything like that, you could get some other poses that do look pretty nice, but it just takes some time to do it due to how the outfit is. When all is said and done, this is a pretty solid figure in my opinion. I love the likeness that this has when it comes to Tony Leung and Wenwu as a character, and I also love all the details and everything that it has in it, like the texturization, the paint job. Like I said, this is probably one of the best paint jobs I've seen on a figure, in my collection at least. I don't know about anyone else, but at least for the figures that I've been collecting so far, this has probably been one of the cleanest paint jobs I've seen yet. And the accessories, like I said, are nice. They do have, some good swappable hands in there, but the weapon accessory, not such a big fan of it. It's a nice inclusion, but like I said, I don't see myself using it as much. And also when it came to the articulation, like I said, it is a bit restricting, but if you take the time and effort to play around with the figure and just get a feel for it. I'm sure you'll be able to get some really good poses out of it. With that being said, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Be sure to go ahead and follow me over on Instagram if you guys are looking for the photos that I'll be taking of these two figures. I do plan on doing that throughout the day as I, edit this video and also work on, other videos to come, which you guys will actually be seeing another video very soon, which will be the final video, at least for now. I have not picked up Shang-Chi's sister yet, but you guys will be seeing a review of the Death Dealer from the movie, which is one of the members of the 10 Rings army. So you guys will be seeing that video very soon, along with many others. I need to really start getting into the flow of things with these videos, especially when it comes to the retro Spider-Man collection that I've been building up that's just been sitting around collecting dust, because I gotta get those open because I really want to pose those figures. They look really, really nice. So I'm looking forward to that. I hope you all have an amazing day, and I'll catch you all later. Peace out.